All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Adrian. We have a brief 15 minutes with the CEO of ADA, Srinivas Gattamneni. So we're going to jump right in. How to stay relevant in a fast-evolving world of information and technology. One either gets disrupted, has to innovate to stay relevant, or in some cases disrupts to stay alive. So today, ADA is the largest independent digital marketing firm in the region. Srini, can you tell us a little bit more give us a bit of an overview of ADA, firstly, and secondly, I heard a very gutsy statement, I think it was made by you, saying that ADA wishes to kill the traditional agency world.
Okay.
So tell us how you're going to achieve that.
Yeah, so I think just a quick caveat. We're not trying to kill the traditional agency world, but we're trying to kill the traditional mindsets in the agency world. And I think there are a whole bunch of agencies who've gone onto the digital and actually crossed the chasm across, and they're doing an awesome job. But I think it's the mindsets that we are trying to disrupt. So I think very simplistically, we had a whole bunch of different brands that we had built under Axera Digital over the last 5 years in advertising itself. Some of you know us as AdParlor Asia, some of us as AdKnowledge Asia, Digital Reach, Mobi Reach, etc. So we actually amalgamated all these businesses under one single umbrella, which is ADA or ADA in Bahasa. Has a positive connotation to it. And as Karel also mentioned, it has subtext to it, which is analytics, data, and advertising. And actually that order of analytics and data and advertising is quite important for us. We are an analytics data science business which hopes to disrupt a traditional agency world across the whole spectrum of advertising itself. And maybe just, so in 8 markets, as you said, we serve typically over 1,200 brands and advertisers on a monthly basis. As Karel also pointed out, we have one of the largest data management platforms where we've actually mashed together a whole bunch of data insights about customers, et cetera, that we use for advertising.
All right. So moving on to telcos and digital agencies, we've seen many attempts before. What are the advantages of being a digital agency with the backing and support of an established telco? How is ADA different, and what is the role it's seeking to serve?
Yeah, so I think a lot of telcos have, and across the region and globally, have done a lot of investments in ad tech and advertising. Over the last 4 years, most of telcos have stayed more in the publisher space. So they've either built publishing inventory options, or they've gone into ad tech, and ad tech seems to have become quite a dirty word for some strange reason. But not a lot of telcos have gone and taken on what they have as assets, which are the data insights, and tried to go and upstream in terms and help it in media planning, in data-driven creatives, in ad operations. So we also started off trying to do our own publishing space using SMS, our interstitial inventory, doing ad tech, which was our AdParlor Asia business. But very quickly, we realized that there is an overhang of traditional mindset that makes digital look poorer than it is. So we felt, well, you need to, first of all, separate data from media, and then use data to drive better planning first, create an audience, drive creatives that actually service these audience according to their needs and their psychographic behaviors, and then do ad operations and targeting on top of media. So the first step was dividing the two up, media and data, and then use it across, and hopefully that's how we plan to at least conquer the non-working media part of the whole value chain.
Would you be able to perhaps give us an example of this in Malaysia or in another country in the region?
Yeah, so I mean, let me give we actually just wrote about this in Bangkok. So we have a big brand there. They do sneakers for running, etc., and they wanted to target users. So for us, the first step was, so what is the right time and place and context to show somebody if they want to buy sneakers? So through a whole amount of data insights, etc., we figured actually the moment when they are at the hottest and the sweatiest is the best time to show the best sneaker ad. So what we did is we actually ring-fenced all the parks where people go running. And once they finish their morning runs or the evening runs, first thing they do is they open their smartphone app, etc., and they might be blogging on Instagram, showing their photos, etc. That's the best time and place and context in order to show the sneaker ad. And we saw a massive uplift of just using data insights. And of course, then we also did different creatives. What you show boys who are 18-year-old versus somebody who's just gone for a walk who might be 45 to 50-year-old. You show a different creative and you bring out different elements of the product itself. So that alone comes through a lot of automation and data science that we built in.
I mean, we're talking about taking targeted marketing to a whole new level
Correct,
here.
yes, yeah.
So talking about data, let's move on to I'm sure a very interesting question that many of our audience would be very keen to get more information on. Data privacy and protection is a major challenge for many stakeholders sitting on all sides of the conversation, up here on the stage and down there. The fact of the matter is we all want great technology. We want it to work seamlessly and well for us, to be intuitive, but we all want to protect our privacy and protect our information at the same time. Is this possible? So I'm sure a question many of us is thinking is, what data is the Axiata Group collecting? How is this used? Can we talk a little bit about transparency? And of course, moving on, how is this being monetized?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think as you said, I think we are living in a massive paradox, and people care about their data, but you do need data to drive better customer experience. I always love to use the example of for those of you who use Apple Siri versus of those who use Alexa's, Amazon's Alexa. Alexa knows a lot about you and hence delivers amazing personalized experience, whereas Apple, being quite privacy advocate, doesn't pump as much data and learn about you into their cloud systems. So hence, the experience on Alexa is always way better than Siri. And I think that's the dichotomy that we live in. Do you want to give your data to get better experience, or do you just want a very maybe non-emotional experience with technology? Actually, I don't think anybody has solved it. We're still grappling with it. Regulation has also come in, especially GDPR in Europe, and we are closely looking at it, what that means in terms of transparency, in terms of what data we collect. Should you have the right to erase it? Should you have the right to correct it? Should you have the right to be completely targeted through an automated approach? I mean, we'll be going through the same, I think, discussions internally. But one good thing I would say is, as a telco, telcos have always, I mean, how much ever you might hate your service provider, have always been extremely good custodians of data. They've always had a chief data privacy officer who reports straight into the CEO. They really do care and make sure data is very well held, and there's consent actually received before you even use it, and even before they use it, they think 20 times before they use it. So I think from our perspective, whatever data that we do, we generally do it on an extremely aggregated basis. It's only once consent has been achieved. We are now actually thinking about the implications of what the European regulation of GDPR has in our markets, and being proactive about how do we create opportunities for users to actually erase and correct data that they have, and also be transparent of how their data is being used from a targeting perspective itself.
Okay. And your opinion on data protection in the region, and the future? What do you realistically see happening?
So I think, so for us, it's easiest if, as a corporate, if we take on more a proactive approach to this and actually follow the strictest law that there is globally, because I think it will happen very soon in our markets. I think the regulators are probably already thinking about actually borrowing a lot of that regulation from Europe and actually implementing in some of our markets here. Having said that, I think our markets today are quite data poor. There's not a lot of free data available, but as we use more smartphones, there's a lot of data that's being gleaned. It will become an issue, if not already in users' minds, at least in Indonesia and Thailand and et cetera.
Right. And how do consumers be more educated and aware? Any advice to the audience?
I think that's a difficult one. I mean, I think I think it's more articles in terms of I do think what will happen is corporates will start telling them more in terms of what data do they have about them. They will be more transparent about it, and it will not be hidden on, I don't know, page 50 of some T's and C's. It will be very upfront in terms of what data are they collecting and using.
All right, great. Good to know. So now moving a little bit back to the core of the business, the future of advertising and the agency model, using tech and data to create. How do you see this evolving? You know, if we look around, we see many big guys have been made redundant and kicked off the charts after years in the business to make room for smaller, fast-moving, more innovative disruptors. So how does ADA continue to grow, gain more market capital,
Sure.
but remain adaptable, agile, and cater to the needs of the region?
So I see two main trends going on. One is there, at least inside a lot of our clients, there is definitely a convergence of a chief information officer role and a chief marketing officer role. I do think those roles will become one role. And at that time, the fight is not with the traditional agencies in the digital marketing space, but with the technology consulting. You can already see the swaths of acquisitions that likes of Accenture have made to get into this space. Similarly, a lot of consulting, management consulting firms are also entering the space. So naturally, and of course the big tech giants like Oracles, et cetera, who are also outside. So they always owned the CIO relationship inside the clients. The agencies held the CMO relationships. But given this mashing up, I think there'll be a lot of fight on that frontier. So I think the future, or the agency of the future, is actually a technology practice with a digital marketing practice completely combined. It will not be two separate businesses. And we are also looking, and in fact, we think there should be more engineers in an agency than suits or account executives. And we've already started that. We have more data science, machine learning guys than we have actually sales guys. Or media planners for that matter. So that trend has started. And then I think more a near-term or immediate trend, you would have seen recently an announcement from IPG acquiring Axiom. So a lot of agencies will fight back and actually acquire pure data-only businesses as well. So that's going to happen quite a bit.
And the future for the smaller agencies? It's adapt, reinvent, or lose out?
I suspect they will create essentially niches for themselves around particular industry and going deep into that industry using technology itself.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the future of ADA, your further plans, expansion, acquisition.
So I think, we're already in 8 countries. I think it's physically difficult being in all 8 countries in the same quarter, so I don't think we'll go geographically. But however, we plan to go deeper into each market. So maybe from an acquisition perspective, we'll be looking for smaller agencies that we could pick up, which could actually complement what we have to offer to our clients. We'll definitely be looking at acqui-hires or acquisition hires in the whole data science space and what can we actually create more solutions for industries. I think these are the 2 main areas that we'll be expanding around.
And so lastly, what does the future look like for ADA consumers? What can they expect and how can they benefit from what you have to offer?
So I think, as I think Kyril had mentioned, for us it's about breaking the silos between media, creative, and ad operations. Right now, the industry is too siloed, and we come up with an integrated approach to solving all digital acquisition models. And of course, we are very gung-ho about an outcome-based model. The risk needs to shift away from the advertiser or the brand to us. If our technology and data science is so good, why should we not take the risk and actually drive outcomes? So I think these are maybe the 2 main areas that the clients can look forward to.
Brilliant. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we've kept it short and sweet. I know everyone's looking forward to lunch very soon. Thank you very much, Srini, for being with us today and telling us a little bit more about ADA. So really disrupt, innovate to stay relevant, and the future looks very bright indeed for the world, the creative world, and for consumers out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we say thank you to Srinivas and Deborah. Deborah Henry, thank you.